Hello, here's the news at this hour from Tstv. I'm MAKINDE Duritilu. Here's some major headlines. MAKINDE approves 1 billion naira for 2018 teachers' leave bonus. Federal government apologizes for asking all banks, other account holders to re-register. Australia to let more citizens come home. And in sports, Juventus terminate HIGUAIN contract to lose 18.3 million euros. The news in details. Governor of Oyo State, Engineer MAKINDE, has on Thursday said he has recently approved the release of the sum of 1.08 billion naira to the Oyo State chapter of the Nigerian Union of Teachers (NUT) for payment of 2018 leave bonus of the affected teachers. Governor MAKINDE, who spoke at the Budget Consultative Forum ahead of the 2021 budget of the state, said that in his quest to positively influence the state's economy and enhance the quality of life, his administration has approved the payment of 1.65 billion naira for the remodeling of primary health care centers, PHCs, across the 351 electoral wards in the state. He led top government functionaries and other stakeholders to host the second edition of the state's Inclusive Budget Initiative, where he declared that his administration will not relent in its determination to turn the state around through people-centered projects. He has, however, called on residents of the state to get involved in the budget consultative process, which, he said, will take place in 7 locations across the state. The Oyo State Environmental Task Force has apprehended 13 individuals who were prosecuted and sentenced by the Special Tribunal for dumping refuse in waterways. According to the state's environmental law, the offenders were caught at Gate, Mokola, Adamasiba, and Arumeta axis in Ibadan and were tried by the tribunal at the Environmental Task Force office. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, Dr. Bashir Olaniwaju, while speaking with journalists, restated the state government's stance of zero tolerance for filth, adding that the government would not relent in its effort to maintain a clean and healthy society. He enjoined the people of Oyo State to register with state-accredited refuse collectors to dispose their waste and cooperate with government in ensuring a cleaner and hygienic society. Meanwhile, during the weekly sanitation exercise yesterday, hoodlums attacked the monitoring team of the Environmental Task Force at the market under the Molete Bridge in Ibadan, injuring 3 government officials. The chairman of the State Environmental Task Force, ACP Francis Ojomo, said the team was able to arrest 2 people, a male and a female, for interrogation and a lead to arrest other culprits. The federal government has apologized for asking all account holders in the country's financial institutions to register their details again. This was reported that the federal government earlier asked all account holders in banks, including insurance companies, to fill and submit a self-confirmation form. The order was given despite the possession of the bank verification number and the national identification number by account holders yesterday. Noting failure to do so, the government threatened to block access to defaulters' accounts or impose a monetary penalty. However, the order to fill another self-confirmation form despite the existing BVN and NIN had attracted condemnations on social media and has prompted the government to apologize for misinformation, while the Federal Inland Revenue Service explained that only reportable persons are expected to submit the forms. The federal government has released more guidelines that will prevent the spread of COVID-19 as more states fully reopen schools on Monday. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, which disclosed this to newsmen, stated that schools had been directed to conduct COVID-19 risk assessment every week. The NCDC also disclosed that local governments and states were directed to conduct monthly and quarterly COVID-19 risk assessment in schools, respectively. According to the NCDC, the assessment will determine schools' level of compliance with safety protocols, including physical distancing, hand washing, and the use of face masks, whose violation can put students at risk of COVID-19. Also, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 said the federal government would seize passports of travelers who fail to carry out COVID-19 tests, adding that visas of foreign travelers would be cancelled. On the foreign scene, the Australian government has said it would allow 6,000 citizens a week and 2,000 more to currently be allowed to come home in October as Melbourne's second wave comes under control. Prime Minister Scott Morrison said more than 24,000 Australians were stranded overseas and had registered to return. Meanwhile, in July, the country was reported to have capped the number of returnees to ease the strain on mandatory hotel quarantine system. However, expats had complained that the policy meant flights home were near impossible to secure, stating that the London to Sydney route will only take 30 passengers per flight. A Kigali court has yesterday denied bail to Paul Rusesabagina, whose actions during the 1994 Rwandan genocide inspired the Oscar-nominated film Hotel Rwanda, ahead of his trial on numerous charges, including terrorism. Paul, who has become a high-profile government critic and has been living in exile for years, appeared last month under arrest in Kigali in murky circumstances, with his family alleging he was kidnapped abroad. Prosecutors, however, on Monday slapped him with 13 charges, including terrorism found in militant groups, murder, and conspiracy to involve children in armed groups. The critic instantly announced he would appeal the decision since he has 5 days to do so and has asked to be released to seek medical care. The 66-year-old is said to be a cancer survivor and suffers from a heart condition and hypertension, which his family said required medication. In sports, Serie A champions Juventus yesterday confirmed they had terminated Argentine striker Gonzalo Higuain's contract by mutual consent. The former Real Madrid and Napoli forward is reportedly set to join David Beckham's Major League Soccer franchise, Inter Miami. Juventus said in a statement that the operation generates a negative economic effect of approximately 18.3 million euros on the 2019-2020 financial year due to the residual value write-down of the registration rights of the player. Juventus is said to have paid the 90 million euros release clause to sign Higuain from Napoli in 2016, and he had unsuccessful loans at AC Milan and Chelsea before returning to Turin last season. The 32-year-old was immediately told by new coach Andrea Pirlo that he was no longer part of the 9-time Serie A champions' plans. Also, Bayern Munich's officials are set to kick off the new Bundesliga season behind closed doors because of a rising coronavirus infection rate in the Bavarian capital. The decision puts an end to the European champions' plans to allow 7,500 fans into the Allianz Arena to watch Friday's opening game at home to Schalke. Munich Mayor Dieter Reiter said it would be a wrong signal to let spectators into sports stadiums against the background of the current figures. However, Germany's politicians have given Bundesliga clubs the green light to allow the partial return of fans into stadiums, provided the rate of infection in each region remains below 35% inhabitants, while the figure for Munich was reported to revise to 47.6%. With that, we've come to the end of the news. A recap of the headlines. MAKINDE approves 1 billion naira for 2018 teachers' leave bonus. Federal government apologizes for asking all banks' other account holders to re-register. Australia to let more citizens come home. And Juventus terminate Higuain contract to lose 18.3 million euros. Please do not forget to always adhere to COVID-19 measures. The news was compiled by Mubola Badikale. I am Kende Durutilu. Good day, and thanks for watching.